You hear this? Okay, here we go. The Wight County School Board is now in session. Today is Tuesday, March 7th, 2023. We are holding a school board public hearing. We're located at Westside Elementary School, 800 West Main Street, Smithfield, Virginia. And we are preparing students for college, career, and life. And the clerk will take the roll call.
Mr. Wooster? Mr. Cunningham?
Present.
Mrs. Tynes? Here. Mr. Marsh?
Here.
And Mr. Colick?
Here. And Ms. Clerk, please note that Mr. Wooster is on duty at the fire department.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
If everybody could rise for a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, we'll have the approval of the agenda or amendments.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Clerk will take the vote.
Mr. Cunningham?
Yay.
Mrs. Tynes?
Yay.
Mr. Marsh?
Yay.
And Mr. Colick?
Yay. And tonight I want to welcome everyone that is here and those that may be watching on their computers at home. Tonight we're having a school board public hearing on the budget. The budget's very important to us. We don't have the exact amounts that we're going to be working with, so this year we're going to be prioritizing the budget in order of what we need and where we need it, so when we do find out what funding we have from the Board of Supervisors, we will be able to move forward very, very quickly. So we're looking forward to the comments. We've got a number of emails from folks on their concerns with the budgets. They will be taken into consideration just as the comments here tonight will be. So without any further ado, we will move forward with the public hearing.
In accordance to policy BDDH-E, presentation of information on any subject will be concluded at the discretion of the board. No person will be recognized to speak more than once. Citizens scheduled on the agenda to speak will be permitted 4 minutes maximum time for their presentation. Delegations will be requested to limit their speakers to 2. Persons speaking are asked to be specific, state the issues for the board's consideration, and attach a copy of your prepared remarks. If you have prepared remarks, they should be given to the board clerk. Please do not approach the board members. Any matter relating to specific students will be heard by the school board only in a closed meeting. First, we have Ms. Ellen Carver.
Is this mic fine? Yeah. Good evening, Dr. Kramer and Isle of Wight County School Board members. I'm Ellen Carver. I'm the Executive Director of Girls on the Run, Hampton Roads, a positive youth development program. I would like to express our gratitude for the district's past commitment to provide access to our empowering curriculum to hundreds of girls at all 7 elementary and middle schools. The investment the school district has made in these students has had a measurably positive impact, which I will explain in a moment. I want to clarify some misinformation that was discussed at the school board meeting last month and that was then reprinted in the Smithfield Times about the flow of funds from Isle of Wight County Schools to Girls on the Run, Hampton Roads. The superintendent proposed $40,000 for Girls on the Run expenses in next year's budget. This amount was never intended to be paid to Girls on the Run. Most of these funds were proposed to pay coach stipends to Isle of Wight County employees, after-school transportation, and healthy snacks. The total amount of funds ever received by Girls on the Run, Hampton Roads, in one fiscal year from the district is $3,000, or $23 per girl enrolled. This is not a donation to a nonprofit, as was phrased by one of the members of the board last time you met. In other words, it helps defray but does not nearly cover the direct costs for a health and wellness provider to distribute items like sneakers, a sports bag, water bottle, t-shirts, journals, markers, entry into a 5K event, which includes a souvenir running bib, a medal, finish line recovery food, and team supplies, to name just a few. Our annual cost per girl is actually $280 on average, and this includes some expenses that are not obvious on the surface. Funded in large part by a grant from the OBC Healthcare Foundation, we launched a partnership here in 2021. Since then, enrollment has grown 500% from what started as 23 students on one small team at Hardy Elementary School to almost 130 girls on average over the past 3 years at all 7 schools that I mentioned a moment ago. That's 384 girls experiencing our curriculum, which teaches critical life skills, builds confidence, promotes community service, and increases physical stamina. These girls also experience the incredible triumph of crossing a finish line as young as age 8 at our community 5K. There is loads of academic data that supports our position that youth who are in good physical health, who have high self-esteem, who participate in community service simply do better in school. In an independent evaluation conducted in the spring of '22 in the region, 90% of girls who had completed the program agreed with these statements. I learned things at Girls on the Run to help me deal with strong emotions. I feel like I can speak up and share my opinions. A less obvious benefit of the program is that 415 adults are also having the experience and confidence and health that comes from preparing for and crossing the finish line of our 5K alongside the kids. Of particular note, this Isle of Wight partnership received top honors as the winner for wellness and physical activity last year at the July 22 Virginia School Boards Association Conference on Education. This turnkey program serves hundreds of students per year for a monetary investment that is less than a salary of one bus driver.
It's time.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Carver.
Next, we have Reverend Williams.
Good afternoon, Board Chair, and all of the board members. I too have come and in with a plea, and that is I plead with the board to give approval on the funding of Girls on the Run program. And I call for the board to fund this because I believe it enhances the purpose of the school board system, which is found in file INB, teaching about controversial issues. The first line says, the Isle of Wight County School Board recognize that preparing students to become effective citizens is one of the major purposes of education. I was appalled when I read in the Smithfield Times that a school board member by the name of Mr. Jason Marsh recommended that Dr. Kramer modify the budget to include K-9 dogs in the school system as opposed to Girls on the Run. Please tell me, please inform me, please enlighten me as to how K-9 dogs can prepare students to become effective citizens. I fail to comprehend that. And the flimsy excuses that Mr. Corlick is using and his cohort, Mr. Jason Marsh, is supporting him on, is just outrageous. To say that you don't want to support a program that will enhance the purpose of the educational system simply because you don't believe in supporting nonprofit organization? I mean, what kind of thinking is that? And then for Jason Marsh to say that he didn't like the program after going through it with his daughter, and the reason being that, and this is a direct quote from the Smithfield Times, says the Smithfield Times calling the program, Jason Marsh called it divisive. Well, I'm wondering, where are these guys getting this divisiveness, systemic racism? Where are they coming from with this stuff? When I looked at the Windsor newspaper,
1 minute.
the Windsor Times that was printed February the 24th, and I'm going to read exactly what was written. The title of the article was Conservative PAC, Political Action Committee, contributed to last year's school board race. Records show. And this was done by Stephen Felisky. A Mechanicsville-based political action committee played a marginal role in giving Isle of Wight County five-member school board its conservative majority. Campaign finance, and you tell me if I'm wrong here, campaign finance report filed by newly elected District 4 school board member Jason Marsh showed a $750 non-monetary contribution
Time.
on October the 3rd from the Miller resolution. I can bring this to a close real quick. You guys are bought, and you're bought by the Republican Party, and you're bought by PAC. The very thing that you say that no employee, and this is G,
Reverend Williams' time.
employees of the Isle of Wight County Schools shall not endorse any. If that stands true for the employee, then what should the
Reverend
leaders
Williams,
do?
time.
Thank you very much. Have a nice night.
Ms. Laura Fletcher?
Good evening, Dr. Kramer, ladies and gentlemen of the board. Thank you for having me here this evening. I do plan to speak a little bit about the budget, and I guess Girls on the Run is budget, as well as having flipped the board. American parents in Isle of Wight, are very concerned about the status of education. We're very concerned about propaganda that's being pushed through the schools, and we want education to be about educating our children. We no longer want to see deficits. We've had a continuing, steady stream of deficits in learning for the last 50 years. This is not an attack on teachers. This is an attack on a system that is failing. Regarding Girls on the Run, as a taxpayer, first of all, it is wrong for our taxes to be taken, given to essentially a nonprofit, which is public education, because you're not generating money, and then to go on and siphon it down to other nonprofits. I have a problem with that, just like I do WHRO, taking our tax money, funneling it all around. We lose track of where that money is going. We have no control of how it's being spent. Girls on the Run is involved in, again, critical race theory, using diversity, equity, and inclusion in those programs. Another issue which we've never dealt with after I've come and spoken before the board multiple times, frankly, for a couple of years now. It is throughout all of our curriculum. There's no denying it. It is there, and it needs to be gone. Regarding the budget, I would like to have seen something more transparent. Dr. Kramer, I just saw essentially the red line that you're asking for $4 million additionally from taxpayers. I have a problem with that too. I would like to have seen some cost-saving measures included in that budget where you all could save money, how things could have been maybe appropriated from other areas, moved into other areas that you could shore up, rather than coming again for just more money. You're coming in after a huge, and you're not alone. You're not alone. I appreciate your being here. I just really would like for us to be thrifty. We're heading into a very, very difficult time economically. I just have a few figures here. I gave them last time. We're $31 trillion in debt. The debt per citizen is $94,397, and the debt per taxpayer is $250,000. And now we're being asked for another, $4 million, when we really aren't seeing any proof of any, improvement anywhere. So, Mr. Marsh, I appreciate what you're doing. Mr. Colick, I appreciate what you're doing. Thank you very much. Please hold them to the fire. Don't just rubber stamp budgets. If you have a question, I'd like for you to get to the bottom of it. I really do have concerns. I might need to come up and speak again. Thank you.
Mr. Herb DeCroft.
Evening, Mr. Chairman, board members, Dr. Kramer, Herb DeGroft, 15411 Mill Swamp Road, Smithfield, within the Carsville District. Thank you very much for having this meeting this evening. Wish we had more people. My comments. First, most of the requested increase from us Isle of Wight taxpayers through our Board of Supervisors for this fiscal year 24 budget are once and really not Virginia standards of quality funded and needed. And this means, of course, that our Virginia Department of Education has determined through the requirements by the laws passed by the General Assembly that they aren't needed, period. Therefore, I propose that any item in this budget that is not required by Virginia Code 22.1's provisions, that they be eliminated immediately before your meeting later this week, and eliminate many millions from this proposed budget for 2024. For example, 2 high school deans of students, seriously? An assistant athletic director at Windsor High School? Seriously? $131,000 for lunch monitors, and of course all these are plus 25% in additional benefits costs, fringe benefits costs. So it really is a problem. And then there's that hanging out there of continuing to pay for Hampton City Public Schools aligned curriculum, because in August of 21 we found out that for 6 years we haven't had an aligned curriculum, which was the responsibility of the past superintendent and a current employee who got a promotion when they weren't doing their job to begin with. Astounding. In business, I know this, if you worked for Joe Luter or George Hamilton, you'd have been on the street. So it's this kind of thing that really burns me when Isle of Wight County taxpayers, are ponying up the money. This issue of why do we even have a deputy superintendent, let alone 2. The state SOQ funds for assistant superintendents according to Virginia Code 22.1's provisions. And Mr. Cunningham even read from the bylaws, school boards are to adopt policy to provide for the day-to-day supervision of schools. I agree with that. And Mr. Marish has quoted policy BBA, school boards that see that school laws are properly explained, enforced, and observed. Well, we still got a long way to go there. And I realize 4 of you are really new to the board. 3 of you are even newer than that. But there's a lot to be learned. Therefore, I'm proposing that you take the 2 deputy superintendents and 2 director positions that are supervising principals and change their titles to 2 assistant superintendents to be in compliance with IWCS policy and Virginia school law and save about $300,000.
1 minute.
And I really think Dr. Kramer's been given some horrible advice by his so-called executive leadership team, especially by the deputy superintendents, for such an exorbitant proposed fiscal year 24 budget that was presented to the Board of Supervisors back on the 2nd of March. With the new Hardy Elementary being built, costing over $36 million, and reinstatement of the car tax, taxpayers in the county, particularly those who are on limited income, and I know a lot of them, they're going to have a really tough time if this were to be passed as is and that 10-cent increase was put on their taxes per $100 of real estate value. So I'll be addressing the Board of Supervisors at their next meeting and ask them to fund the budget level with last year or possibly even less if they work that out in their own minds. And I appreciate what you as 5 individuals will do. Having sat there, I know it is not an easy job. It really takes going to school and getting to the nitty-gritty of the budget process because it's really complex. And as the Board of Supervisors said, it's so complex you think sometimes it's made that way to make sure people don't understand it. So God bless you and thank you very much.
That's it,
everyone.
Chair Colick.
Okay, thank you everyone for your comments. We will certainly consider them along with all the other comments that were received through emails. Next, we have board member comments. Mrs. Tynes?
Yes, I have a comment. The Girls on the Run. I guess I'm the board member that really supported that. I will continue to support it and advocate for it. And I told you all, I think at the last 2 meetings, at our meeting, when Dr. Kramer presented his budget to us, and when we went out last week and presented it to the Board of Supervisors, I advocated for it there as well. And Mr. Chair, I noticed the night when it first came up on the budget, you mentioned the fact, as well as some of the other board members, that it was a 501(c)(3), therefore 501(c)(3), therefore you could not support it. Well, my question to you tonight is, after looking at the board docs for our Thursday meeting, I see that you have joined the School Board Members Alliance, which is SBMA. It's a 501(c)(3). It's an association that empowers school board members. Now, you joined that. I didn't know that we could join that because as a board member, I have not sat in any meetings, and I know I have not missed any meetings in over 3 years. And it wasn't approved by the board. And wait a minute, I'm still speaking. And I know the question is going to come back, was the Virginia School Board Association approved by the board? Yes, it was, but we don't want to approve it every year. Once they approve that we're going to belong to an organization, it stays there. When we pay the membership fees or dues or whatever, it's a rollover every year. If we neglect in paying our fees, then that's when we come out. I'm thinking if this is an organization that we want to support, why wasn't it open to all members? And I personally, I have sat in that chair twice as board chair. I have never used public funding without permission of the entire board, meaning I was authorized through an action. And we had no action. But you joined that association and used public funding to do so. But yet, you're going to say something about something that's helping our students. That is going to help you as an adult, a board member. But you're going to say something about a line item that's going to help our students. That's why we're here. We are here to educate the young citizens of Isle of Wight County, and you're going to say something about that. You cannot support something because it's a 501c3.
Okay, let me respond to that because you made some good points. But we go back into the bylaws, and near the end of the bylaws, if not the last paragraph of the bylaws, there is a link with a list, excuse me, of all the educational organizations that we are allowed to obtain training from, and many of them, to obtain training, you have to be a member, and that was passed by this body, 3-2. And so, as I told you in an email, I went ahead and joined that, believing that we had the authority to do so. And if the CFO was to come out and say that, no, you weren't supposed to do that, I will reimburse the county. Okay, if I made a mistake, I will publicly admit it. Now, as far as Girls on the Run goes, I was in contact with Mrs. Carver. I responded to her email this morning, and I asked her a couple questions, and if she could make the case that this benefits education. And if she could, I could possibly support it, but I am not one that's just going to go out and say, let's give money to support a 501c3. There has to be a good benefit. There has to be a benefit to it. And yes, VSBA is a tax-exempt organization as well, and I understand the background, the history, and all of that goes along with it. SBMA is a very new organization. But again, I believe based on the bylaws that I could. And if I was wrong, I said I will admit it and I will refund that money to the school district.
May I say something else?
Please.
Thank you. It's not the fact that you were wrong, it's the fact that you did this without the authority of the entire board. That's where I have a concern, because you're sitting there as a board chair and you're saying, okay, I'm going to join this organization without it being approved by the board. I know you said something about the bylaws.
Through the bylaws.
The bylaws, they are the bylaws that you wrote, okay? You wrote those bylaws. I never agreed to those bylaws personally. You just said the vote was 2-3. I didn't agree with those bylaws, and I told you that. You wrote those bylaws. We did not sit down as a board and develop the bylaws. You developed the bylaws, okay, to benefit you, to benefit the School Board Members Alliance, okay? That's my personal opinion, okay? And for you to go out and spend public funding and not being authorized because you're saying the bylaws that you developed said you could do it, okay? But I did not vote for those bylaws.
No, you didn't.
And I will not vote for those bylaws as they were written. Give me the opportunity to sit down with the board and develop our bylaws together as a board.
Mr. Tynes, you had approximately 4 to 6 weeks.
We were never invited to do so. When I say sit down, it's just like we're sitting down right now. We're doing a budget, okay? We're doing a budget to send forward to the Board of Supervisors. We have had 3 meetings. This is our 3rd meeting here. This is for the public. We're supposed to have another session just for the board members. Why not have a session just for the board members to sit down and develop our bylaws? That didn't happen.
Ms. Steins, when I asked the board to do that, neither you nor Mr. Cunningham wanted to do that. When I asked last year, I was told, no, basically go sit in the corner. We're in charge now. Okay? I asked for input. I asked for a work session. You did not want to participate in either.
Because you had already
Now,
written the bylaws, and I'm
this-
not going to participate in something that's one-sided. I know where it's going, okay? I have been here on this earth for 65 years and a few days, 66. I know where it's going. Don't take all of Wight County Schools down that path. Too many people have sat in these chairs that we're sitting in today. They have worked hard. It has been a struggle. Back from the beginning of time, we're sitting here today because of those individuals. They fought for the students. They fought for education in all of Wight County Schools. I refuse to let anyone come here tear down what they have built, what they built in a matter of a few months. That is where it's going. I have never seen such, okay? And this is not my first public board being on. You don't get an option here.
Mrs. Tynes, there's nobody on this board, whether I agree with them or not, that is here to tear down this school system, the school division. Everybody comes on this board, I believe, because they want to make our schools better. They want to work for the children of this county, including myself. Now, we're here to talk about the budget. And if you've got no more comments on the budget, we can go to the next person. But this conversation, I am more than willing to have at a regular meeting.
Well, okay, this is where I'm going. You all wanted to cut out Girls on the Run because it was a 501c3. I just brought to your attention, you join a 501c3. Girls on the Run needs to stay on that line, okay? Thank you. We can't say the students can't do it, but I can do it. And that's what you pretty much did. I'm going to do it, but the students, I'm not going to allow the students to do it. And that's on the budget, what I'm talking about.
Thank you, Mr. Tynes. Mr. Cunningham, do you have anything?
The only thing I have to say is I'm supporting any program that mentors the young ladies and young men, any positive mentorship. Girls on the Run is one of those organizations. Doesn't matter, nonprofit, whatever. If it's supporting our kids, our students, then I'm all for it. And now looking at the limited amount of money that they receive from all of Wight County Schools, I see no reason for us not to support it. I know it's other costs that are involved with that, but even the Board of Supervisors, I know at least 2 of them were positive on supporting the Girls on the Run. They were saying, hey, even though it's a nonprofit, there are good nonprofits out there, and I think that's a win-win for the county and for the school if we do support it. That's all I have on that. Thank you.
Mr. Marsh? Okay. So the comments that I have tonight are, we've got a very large budget that we've got to go through. It's approximately, I believe, $83 million that we're asking for. We had about $78 million last year, so that's a $5 million difference. And so we've got to look very closely at the budget. We've got to justify and prioritize everything. Okay. Ms. Carver, I thank you for that email this morning. Very informative. Tonight, you gave me some more information that I didn't know, and I do appreciate that. Where will Girls on the Run fall? I don't know. Okay. Where will many of these other programs fall? Don't know. Okay. We've got to really sit down and go through everything. Okay. $83 million worth of everything to make a determination of where that line's going to fall. And then we have to wait and find out how much money we're getting. So basically, we'll prioritize everything with the help of with Dr. Kramer and the staff. And then when we find out what the money is, there's going to be a line drawn. Everything above it's what we get. Everything below it, we don't. And so it's almost going to be like the board will not be saying, hey, we're going to get this, we're going to get that. We're going to prioritize it and see where the money comes in and what we can afford. So that's pretty much all I've got to say. We can't take any more comments right now. Yeah, no, we've got to follow through consistency. What?
I would like to say something if possible.
We've got to after the meeting's adjourned if you want to and people want to listen, but we've got to stick to the agenda. We voted on the agenda. We've got to stick to it. Okay.
I thought it was understood there were 2 minutes allowed for public comment that weren't on the schedule.
Not tonight. No. Okay. So, Mrs. Tynes.
This is a public hearing?
Yeah.
Okay, have we adjourned from the public hearing? Is it still open?
We're getting ready to. Yeah.
Well, as long as they have not spoken previously, they can come to speak. We normally open it up for anyone in the public if we still have time, as long as they have not spoken previously during the hearing.
Okay, that's how historically we've done it. Okay. Young lady.
Hi, my name is Allie Bowen, and I am the program director for Suffolk and Western Tidewater for Girls on the Run Hampton Roads. So I just wanted to clarify some things. Many school districts, the majority of our school districts, the 14 school districts we serve in Hampton Roads, we collect the enrollment fee directly from the families. This fee is based on household size and annual income, so families pay anywhere from $45 to $185. So if the school board votes to stop paying Go to Hampton Roads the largely discounted fee of $23 per girl, our plan is to implement the family fee process that we use in other districts. Girls on the Run is a nonpartisan organization. Last year there was an article written or an op-ed in the Smithfield Times that said that our program included critical race theory. The Isle of Wight County School Director of Curriculum conducted a page-by-page review of our curriculum last year and found that there was nothing to do with CRT in our curriculum. I also wanted to clarify that Isle of Wight County Schools does support other nonprofits, including the Beta Club, the Great Computer Challenge, and also the Virginia High School League. And we would also ask that as you finalize your budget, that if you approve the line item for $60,000 for after-school buses, that Girls on the Run girls have access to that option. And we would also ask that if Isle of Wight County School staff are being compensated for coaching, or if they're being compensated for leading clubs like the Beta Club and like the Great Computer Challenge, that those staff members could also be paid for supporting and coaching Girls on the Run. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's your answer. Cut it all down. We have no business sponsoring 501c3. No business.
Okay, this school board public